In 1805, we meet Francis II of Austria, straining to bear the immense, complicated weight of the Holy Roman Emperor title. Across the continent, Napoleon Bonaparte's imposing boot aggressively tramples Europe, shattering the old established order. Francis II could not withstand the pressure. He sighed, desperately trying to maintain the balance of a system centuries in the making. Finally, in 1806, the Holy Roman Empire was forced to dissolve, leaving him only with the Austrian crown. Meet Prince Wilhelm of Prussia, a serious young man, already nurturing the will to become stronger than the invader. Napoleon created the Confederation of the Rhine, consolidating small German states into a puppet regime under his firm control. The German people were divided and oppressed. They quietly began to search for a shared voice, a common identity. From these whispers, the warm flame of German nationalism was ignited, beginning to spread powerfully across the lands. After Napoleon's downfall, Francis and Wilhelm temporarily set aside their differences and united to repel the invader. The Congress of Vienna in 1815 was convened, where the powers attempted to rearrange everything and establish a new order. Austria's clever diplomat Metternich carefully arranged everything, forging a fragile concert of Europe. Prussia gained the coal-rich Rhineland. Their economic and industrial advantages began to take shape right here. The German Confederation was created, but it was merely a loose alliance dominated by the conservative Emperor of Austria. Wilhelm looked to the loose connection. He understood that for Prussia to rise, a much bolder plan was required. Wilhelm created the Zollverein, a gold railway and trade network, unifying the German states economically. The smaller German states benefited, but Francis II of Austria was completely excluded from this vital market bloc. Simultaneously, the wave of liberal ideas surged, as the middle class began demanding fundamental democratic rights. Metternich used every tool of censorship to suppress it. He believed that change only brought chaos. But in 1848, the anger erupted into revolution. Metternich was caught off guard and forced to flee into exile. In Prussia, Prince Wilhelm brutally suppressed the riots in Berlin, earning the infamous nickname Prince of Grapeshot. The Frankfurt Parliament was convened. Hopeful liberals attempted to assemble a model for a unified Germany. They offered Wilhelm the crown, but he flatly rejected it, refusing to accept power granted by the common people. Unification ideas revolved around two models: Lesser Germany without Austria, or Greater Germany including Austria. Meanwhile, the Austrian Empire was an old, clunky machine, with ethnic groups pulling parts in different directions. Francis II, now exhausted, constantly had to patch and repair the machine, fighting against internal separatist movements. The Russian Bear initially supported Francis, keeping the power balance tilted towards Austria, checking Prussia. But Austria turned its back during the Crimean War. The angry Russian Bear retreated, leaving Francis II alone. Defeat by France cost Austria more territory. Francis II nursed his wounds, realizing the decay was irreversible. Conversely, Prussia grew richer through industrialization, becoming the leading industrial kingdom in Central Europe. In 1862, Otto von Bismarck was appointed. He was a colossal figure of will and ruthless determination. He proclaimed the iron and blood doctrine, asserting that problems would be solved not by resolutions, but by warfare. The first order of business was to modernize the army, preparing for an inevitable confrontation with Austria. The Schleswig War of 1864. Prussia and Austria allied to defeat Denmark and seize the two strategic duchies. They were victorious together, but the division and control of the spoils sowed the seeds for the next conflict. Austria controlled Holstein, but it was completely wedged within Prussian territory, creating suffocating tension. Bismarck secretly allied with Italy, ensuring that Austria would have to face a war on two fronts. In 1866, Bismarck provoked the Austro-Prussian War. The Prussian army attacked with lightning speed. The decisive advantage came from the needle gun, modern weaponry allowing Prussian soldiers to fire much faster and more accurately. Italy kept his promise, attacking Francis II from the south, preventing Austria from concentrating its northern forces. Francis II was quickly defeated. The old German Confederation dissolved. Austria was permanently excluded from German affairs. The North German Confederation emerged, a solid political bloc under the absolute leadership of Prussia. Austria was forced to cede the Italian territory to Napoleon III for transfer. A matter of pride, Napoleon III of France felt increasingly encircled and acutely worried about Prussia's relentless rise. The final conflict revolved around who would occupy the vacant Spanish throne. France demanded Wilhelm I order his relative to withdraw, and Wilhelm sent back a mildly diplomatic telegram. Bismarck received the telegram, but he manipulated the text, intentionally making it offensive and rude. the Ems dispatch was published, Napoleon III felt his national honor deeply wounded, finding it unacceptable. And with that, Napoleon III declared war. Bismarck had succeeded in making France appear as the aggressor. This legitimized the war and compelled the southern German states to unite under the Prussian flag. The German army advanced into France. Superior organization and industrial might ensured a swift victory. Napoleon III was captured as a prisoner of war, marking the collapse of the Second French Empire. Paris briefly fell into chaos with short-lived uprisings, while the larger war still raged on. To humiliate France, the German leaders gathered in the dazzling Hall of Mirrors at the Palace of Versailles. On January 18, 1871, the German Empire was proclaimed. Wilhelm I was crowned. Bismarck's mission was complete. Germany demanded France cede Alsace-Lorraine. This wound would never be forgiven by the French people. This unification bore a strong Prussian imprint. Power centralized in Berlin, the smaller states had to comply. Bismarck launched the Kulturkampf, using state power to cut the political influence of the Catholic Church. He ruthlessly imprisoned bishops, but Catholic persistence eventually forced Bismarck to yield. The unified German Empire quickly soared, becoming an undeniable economic and military superpower. Bismarck skillfully allied with Austria-Hungary, ensuring stability on the Eastern Front. At the Berlin Conference, he played mediator, helping European powers partition colonies in Africa. The population boomed, providing immense resources for industrialization and economic development. Germany became a global center for science, technology, and invention, leading the world in research and education. In 1888, Wilhelm I passed away peacefully. The final successor, Wilhelm II, young, arrogant, and brimming with unchecked ambition. Wilhelm II forced Bismarck to resign in 1890. The era of the shrewd statesman was over. The new emperor stomped his foot, demanding Germany must have a place in the sun, like the other great powers. He began building a massive navy, determined to turn Germany into a maritime superpower. This direct challenge awakened the British Lion, pushing tensions between the two nations to their highest point. In 1914, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand triggered the time bomb, plunging Europe into disaster. The intricate system of alliances exploded. The whole of Europe was dragged into the devastating First World War. 4 years of war, Europe was mired in mud, fighters exhausted and worn out on both sides. The British naval blockade caused severe famine. Food shortages weakened the German will to fight. Finally, desperation turned into revolution. The populace rose up against the war and the monarchy. Emperor Wilhelm II was left with no choice. He abdicated the throne and fled the country. On November 9, 1918, a new republic was proclaimed atop the ruins of the empire. Germany was forced to sign the Treaty of Versailles, a thick rope tightening around the nation with debt and penalties. Francis II, Austria-Hungary, completely disintegrated as well, ending the centuries-long multi-ethnic empire. The binding of Versailles created resentment, and from that, a fearsome dark shadow began to grow.